Hello ladies, here we are back for leg 2. We are here, brought you back out to the beach for establishing position on our board. We are here at the beautiful golden hour. Try to move back and let you see. It wants to focus on my face and not the beautiful sunset behind me, but it's there and the sun's getting ready to set over the beautiful beach behind us. So this is a really important leg. This is the leg where we have decided, we've made the choice in leg when we made the choice to get on the board, like it or not, scared or not, we made the choice and we're there. So as we are on our board and we're paddling out, we've moved a bit out. We are establishing position. We are getting ourselves in the right place to do the work, to do the most important part. So it's like the where we are, this is getting ourselves set to do the work, right? So reading through that, kind of the introduction, establishing position, what that looks like. Moving into worksheet number 5 is areas of life idea sheet, elements of the wellness wheel. So a lot of us have worked with in the past the areas of life that make up a wellness wheel. We have, of course, switched that up a little bit to surfboards, and we are going to be working with the surfboards that we identify as the most important elements of our lives throughout the rest of this weekend. So this is the most important bit of leg 2, and it's a pretty full leg because we're getting ourselves ready to really dive in and do the work. So we're identifying, as you'll see in worksheet number 5, 4 areas of my life that I feel the most sacred, are the most sacred to me at this point in my life. Identifying those and then assigning them to surfboards, and then we're going to surf on these boards through the rest of the weekend. Megan's purple jellyfish. A few years back, I was working with a young woman who was in college, and we were working in some of these similar activities. We hadn't come up with the surfboards yet, but I was trying to tell her to identify the elements of her wellness wheel, or things that made her most authentic real self. And her name was Megan, and she was a University of Oregon grad student, and she was just a beautiful, creative, fun, athletic girl. And Megan struggled with the activity of it. She couldn't quite connect to it. I kept saying, put them on circles, and what are the areas? She's like, I just don't know what the areas are. I don't know, I'm just not connected. It feels, and I was like, what does it feel? And she's like, I don't know, it just feels like sterile to me. I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, okay, well, let's make it. You have to connect to it. This has to be you. And so we kind of wrestled back a couple weeks on the activity, and finally she came to me and she said, Angie, like one day she said, Angie, I got it. I put them on jellyfish. And I was like, okay, you put them on jellyfish? Jellyfish? And she's like, jellyfish are like fluid. Like, and they're not in these like boxes or these circles, or they're jellyfish, and they're purple because purple is my favorite color. And I was like, and she's like, so now the whole exercise makes sense. So fast forward 1 week later, after Megan and I did this activity, and she had the jellyfish and she painted them purple and she put them up on her wall, and she said, this is what I want to work out with you, Angie. She didn't wake up in the morning, and Megan, as a college student, was found dead in her bed. And there still is not a bunch of clarity, enough clarity around what happened to Megan. But the story really matters to me, and I spoke with Megan's mom after this and asked her if I could use Megan's name and Megan's story, because one, Megan taught us, Megan brought the fluidity piece very clear by saying, I'm not putting it in circles, Angie, I'm going to put them on purple jellyfish. Watch me do it. And she brought creativity. She reminded me that we really have to deeply connect with this stuff. We have to find a way. If the worksheets work or if the worksheets don't work, you have to connect with it. And she brought them forth, and she was ready to go, and her life was cut tragically short. And we don't know the reasons why sometimes in life, right? And it was one of the harder things I've been through as a therapist, and many, many years of doing the work as a clinical therapist. And having conversations, I had long conversations with her mom afterwards, and the conversations that her mom said around looking at what Megan was planning with you and the work you two were doing, I think it reminds me of how important it is to do this work, because you never know. And I'm so grateful that she at least had the opportunity in her life to dive in and figure herself out and inspire all of us. So that's Megan's story. We're gonna put our, I wanna use the surfboards as our main primary values, but I do wanna offer that if there's other things that stand out and matter to you and you wanna keep fluid and you wanna kind of keep on underneath the boards waiting to be used as life switches and changes, put them on the jellyfish, and let's honor Megan's courageous creativity as we do so. Okay, priority ordering and values consideration. We are going to go through a part of this weekend that's a bit more challenging. This part, I'm going to ask you to do something that I don't want to ask you to do, but I think it's important to realize why it's so hard and to go through the experience of putting the most important 4 things in our lives in order, priority ordering them, and then pitting them against each other in some ways. Saying, okay, so if family is number 1, occupation is number 2, physical well-being is number 3, and social is number 4, I'm going to put them in order. And then I'm going to say, okay, so in the versus activity, I'm going to say, okay, so if I'm prioritizing these, then technically I should say, and I think what a lot of, let's say, self-help books or ways you might kind of look at it, would say, okay, so that, but my priority is family, so I have to put family. So family is more important to me. That every decision that I make is going to have to put my physical health. If my son needs me, I need to put that ahead of my need to work out or go do yoga or get a massage that day. And how complex that can be and how challenging it can be, how we can get into a topic that I like to talk about is calling as the spillover effect. How then we start to kind of stack things against each other, with each other, like, oh, I know I can go on a walk with my son, and then I'm getting to my values. And I'm not necessarily saying any of this is right or wrong. I'm just presenting it as ideas that I've worked with hundreds of people throughout the years that give us eyes to see some of the things a little bit differently, right? And so we're just digging through these worksheets. Spillover effect, how pitting things against each other can sometimes make us feel anxious and lose a bit of a connection to our self-trust, because then we're saying, I have to do this, and then my health might kind of fall by the wayside because I am prioritizing my family always above and not really getting really clear about what are the very specific things. So this is what we're going to get into, and I won't take you there. I want to, because it's so much more fun. The specific things that each of these areas, each of the surfboards needs. Okay, so what we typically are doing is we're saying which one's more important, and then we just make the decision. And what we sometimes miss is, what does my social life deeply need? What do I really, really need? How can I spend the time to figure that out? How can I spend the time to figure out, so I'm not just running around like a chicken with my head cut off, meeting the needs of my family, pausing, taking the time. If nothing else mattered, what would my family need from me right now? We are going to do that. I'm going to dabble that out there because it's where we're going right now. Stick in the mess of trying to figure out what's more important and what matters most, and know we're going to pull out and get infuse some new energy into that. So thank you for joining me for this beautiful golden hour. See if you can see, kind of, it's a beautiful beach we're on, and I cannot wait to see you for our next leg. Okay, ciao.